Islander fans, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, hockey fans, welcome to another fun episode here of Isles Talk. My name is Paul Kreischer. I am one of your hosts here this evening. Joining me, as always, is Gary Harding. Gary, how are you this evening?
Hi, Paul. I'm recovered. I survived.
Good. Yeah, I heard last night was not last night was a little rough,
A wee bit. A wee bit.
just a wee bit.
Hmm.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but just real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, please hit those like and subscribe buttons on X, Facebook, and YouTube. The numbers have been doing very, very well here. And we want to get more people involved, especially during this chat that we have during the show. It's one of the reasons why we still do this show. And, we love talking hockey, we love talking Islanders. And this is one of those episodes where I wanted to bring everyone into my world a little bit when it comes to covering the draft, um, kind of prepping uh, with a lot of hockey to watch, some paperwork, the research that goes in. Um, and the Islanders are in a particular tough spot.
Quandary.
We'll call it a tough spot. What is it?
A quandary.
Yeah, a quandary. Well done.
Thank you.
Listen, yeah, this is not easy here. So the idea here is buy or sell, and Gary and I are not going to be the GMs here. We're not going to tell the Islanders what they should or should not do, but there is something going on here in the standings that has me very, very curious, and I've never seen it before. And I've been covering the standings now in the point pace for, I don't know, 15 years now. And I got to tell you, boys and girls, normally around 60 to 65 games played, I usually tell all the listeners, you don't have to look at the point pace anymore. Because when you go on NHL.com, you click the standings, you click the conference, depending on which conference you're going to look at. And the first thing you're going to see are all the teams lined up, categorized by the points, highest to lowest. By game 60 to 65, you click on the point percentage, and the teams normally don't move. It's the same thing. So that's when you know it's right around trade deadline season. Some teams are going to move up, going to move down, depending on who's buying, who's selling. And it's a race to that finish. We've also talked about the playoffs and the hockey season like it is like the Belmont race. It's a
Mhm.
long track, and we are now coming down that final turn of the NHL season. But something happened this year that I have not seen before, and I'm not sure if it has to do with the Four Nations. I'm not sure of anything at the moment. So I want to get your thoughts from everyone here at the moment. Before the Four Nations, right around games 53, 54, 55, right before that break, I did the exact same thing. Went on NHL.com, looked at the points, and looked at the point pace. No movement in the standings, Gary. None. And we had made educated guesses that if some of these trades were going to be made for the sake of not losing a player to injuries, maybe a move would be made before the Four Nations. However, knowing what we know now, folks, that there is absolutely no movement in the standings 10 games earlier than it should have been, I'm going to go on an educated guess right now because there is no movement in the standings. The trade deadline week starts with this show. you should start to see some kind of trades happening or getting finalized, whether it's big or small, either starting tonight or definitely after tomorrow night, Gary. Because let me tell you, we'll go Islanders here in a moment here, but when there's no movement and the Islanders are a team that has been stagnant, the Islanders right now are on pace to pick up the 7th overall pick in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
For me and for anyone else who loves the trade rumors as far as an entertainment thing goes, this is it. Get revved up, follow everyone, bookmark all those tweets. It's probably a lot of clickbait anyway.
Watch all those TSN and Sportsnet and
Absolutely.
NHL Network shows and Sirius XM because that's going to come.
Right. So get ready, folks. The trade deadline probably starts tonight. The GMs were probably all talking. Oh God, who let him in here? They've been talking. They all know it. The standings haven't moved. So guess what? It's time, boys and girls. So let's go a little deeper here with the Islanders. Buy or sell. And this is just a philosophy for me, Gary. We know, and I'll go on record here again. Joe and I said on air January 9th that if the Islanders are on the verge of missing the playoffs, that no one's job is safe. We are still holding to that despite the winning, despite the injuries, despite the losses, and what's going on. For me, what Lou does over these next several days may determine what the Islanders' overall thinking for the next several years may entail. But short term, is it still about the money? Is it still getting the Islanders semi-competitive to the All-Star game? As a season ticket holder who's paying quite a bit these days, are you comfortable with the direction this team is currently going? Because we know the money's almost made up. What would you like to see? What kind of a direction do you want the Islanders to go in? Don't play GM on me, but what would you like to see ahead of time?
No, I'm not going to play GM.
Okay.
The one thing I'll just say is, and I'm not saying do this, do that, do this, but the overall identity of the organization has to change. It's got to do something. Okay. There has to be something. I'm not going to put a finger on anything. I mean, as most people know, that our season ticket holders, we got our invoices for next year, right. And yeah, my seats got increased. It looks like about $7 or $8 a game they went up on average. So of course, that gets a lot of people in a tizzy, and I know a few people already that have said they're not renewing. I think I just want to continue to stay as far as what I feel, and this is again gut hunch, nothing else. Sure. Not really talking to anybody, but I think a lot of people that are season ticket holders, especially the longer ones, the ones that have been around, I think are kind of looking forward to the All-Star game. For me, again, the last All-Star game that the Islanders hosted was in 1983. It'll be 43 years since last All-Star game. Number one, the format's obviously changed since 1983 because there was no such thing as a skills match or anything of all the other events that they do. So, yes, it would be cool. now it's not just one day; it's like a whole freaking weekend.
Sure.
And in my case, being up in the top end of seniority as far as season ticket members, I'm sure I would be very disappointed and upset if we're not considered. I know everybody's not going to be considered as season ticket holders to be eligible to get tickets. Usually, I believe that the team that's hosting it only gets about 20%.
Okay.
20 to 25, maybe the most. So you're talking maybe 4,000. So obviously, not everybody's going to get them. But I know some people have said, they'll go to the All-Star game, and if the team is in a better direction, they'll consider it, but probably not.
Okay.
So the apathy, I think, with the fan base is as large as it has been since before Barry Trotz came in. Being at the game last night, went 3-1 after the first period, 2 more goals in the second. My wife and I don't like the atmosphere at Ranger games enough because of the volume and stuff. It wasn't nasty at the game,
Sure.
but it's not the same. So, we did something we never really do, and we left. We left about 2 minutes into the third period. By the time we got home, the game had just ended. Being a little tired and being a little lethargic, it was kind of a good thing. But I think when we left, I would say it was probably 10% Islander fans in the building. Ooh. That's how bad it was. And I think that's a message. That's a clear sounding message to the ownership. That's a clear message to the management of this hockey club, and definitely a sign to the coaches and the players. There's not many ways, really, when you think about it, that a fan can express themselves to the disdain. Yes, we can all write on Facebook and social media and all this other stuff, but the way fans left that game last night is a clear sign that this is not the direction that this organization needs to go. And I'm usually, everybody that knows me and has been on this site for as long as we've been doing this podcast and read my articles, I try to be positive at every single aspect of this. And right now, I can't. And it's tough to stomach. I know the woman sitting to my left feels probably the same way. And, we're just like, it's just not the same. It's disappointing. It really is. And, I'm usually saying, try to make the team better. Maybe Patrick can pull another 10-1 and do something. But you know what? I think as a fan, I'm getting tired of making it on the last day and being in for another week. It's getting depressing. And I did renew my seats for next year. I already committed, but it's getting harder and harder for someone who's been a season ticket holder as long as I have to make the efforts and try to be following a team that I won't say doesn't give the effort back, but if you're doing the same thing and it's not working, you got to fix it. I'll leave it at that, Paul.
Okay. Jeff, I'm gonna comment here on Sorokin. And only against the Rangers here. As you guys know, I really did follow Sorokin in his KHL years after the Islanders drafted him. And I gotta tell you, and this is just call it a gut feeling. I don't know what it is, and I'm not trying to cover for him. But to me, it looks like Sorokin wants to do something, like to make a play, but his body is not allowing him to do that. That's not the Sorokin I'm used to seeing, especially in a Ranger game. Granted, that defense was a mess last night. Getting in his way, the deflections, a lot of that was not on him. Maybe that one goal he allowed. Okay, I'll grant you that. I did not like Sorokin's movement at all.
And we were praising that big time during the streak because you saw you're seeing a different Sorokin. No question.
Right. And Jeff, I'm gonna combine the two with this. And again, this is just me observing Sorokin one game compared to what I've seen many, many years now. Okay. I think the injury is in his head. I think he's playing with an injury, and I think he's just trying to work with his body so that way he does not get injured, like severely injured. But again, I'm only going to hold Sorokin to the Ranger game on that one. I thought he played well against Dallas. That was still a winnable game. But last night, to me, I have concerns just on the way he was playing and reacting, and just a small concern of mine when it comes to Sorokin. But that's all that one. So, so let's get into this now, Gary. What is the Isles' definition of success? The last couple of seasons, we have been preaching on here, whether people like it or not, it really hasn't been about the Stanley Cup. It was about making up the money that they lost during those COVID Cups at Nassau Coliseum, the Cup runs at Nassau Coliseum. And after this year, and especially after the All-Star game, they're going to make that up. Lou came in, basically started off with nothing. He gave us something. And at least from the business side, he has helped resurrect the Islanders. And a lot of the players can thank Lou Lamoriello for helping get that salary cap up, because he is partially responsible for that, because the Islanders have been making some money the last couple of years instead of doing a complete and total rebuild. Okay, but now we're coming to a point for the first time in 53 years, the Islanders are land rich and money rich. Financially, they're set. They've got the arena. They've got the shopping mall, those little outlets.
Well, that's still a long story, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. That's coming to fruition, or it's close to it, whatever.
It's only a year late.
Right. But it's there now, or it'll be there by the All-Star game, whatever it is. Okay. Now we have to get into the hockey side. We have no choice. The road to the Stanley Cup is one thing, but what we've been trying to emphasize was that road was paved a lot more, kicking that can further and further down the road. What a lot of people don't understand was that road got extended because of the financial difficulties. All-Star game. Did I say Olympics? No. It is, well, you know what? They are going to have they're going to have like an Olympic theme, at the All-Star game, supposedly. Supposedly, from what I found out, they're going to do like an Olympic precursor at UBS Arena for the All-Star game for the Olympics and whatnot. It's supposed to be a big thing, but we'll see what happens there. But getting back to the definition of success, the Islanders making the playoffs all, these previous years made a significant amount of money. They're good in the books. And I think you touched on it before, Gary. The Islanders are still looking for that identity. If you're going to have a Stanley Cup champion, you got to have some kind of an identity. And going back to what Joe and I said about dissension in the locker room a month and a half ago, you're not going to get it. So when it comes to this trade deadline, you got to take out some of the negatives, or if it's got to be in the offseason. The question is Lou going to be around for that? But here's something I wanted to bring up for Islander fans as well, because I don't think Patrick Roy is. I think he's on the hot seat as well, along with the players and along with Lou. I think it's going to be everybody on that hot seat, and rightfully so. One of the bigger stats I've been using this year, folks, is the Islanders holding the opponents to 3 goals or less. What I'm basically asking the Islanders to do is have an average, little better than average defense, goaltending, overall team defense of 3 goals or less per game. Because that is the average. And when the Islanders do that, they're at 22, 11, and 3. There's that 2-to-1 ratio, right? Average defense, maybe a little bit better depending on the game, right? When they allow more than 3 goals a game, they are 3, 14, and 4. Here's the one thing that has struck out to me recently, and it goes into the trade deadline and everything. In October, the Islanders held the opponents to 3 goals or less 8 out of the 10 times. 8 out of the 10 games in October. 80%. That's how you do it. What they didn't do was win those games. They went 3, 4, and 1. What does that tell me? It tells me the offense wasn't clicking yet. The offense really wasn't there yet. Yes, you can make the argument, okay, a couple of good defensive games, but at the same time, you got to put, 3, 4, and 1 is not great. If you want to go 4, 3, 1, okay, 2, 2, 5, whatever it is, get more points instead of just 7. You hold your opponent to 8, to 3 goals or less 8 times out of 10, and you only get 7 points. It's not worth it. There's a problem there offensively. Now, the month of February, folks, the Islanders have held their opponents to 3 goals or less 2 out of their last 7. After going on a tear the way they did, there's no defense to this game, to their games at all during the last 7 meetings. Well, I'm sorry. They're 2 out of their last 7. And if they let Boston score 4 goals or more tomorrow, it's 20% on the month. Is Patrick Roy losing the locker room? If everyone's job is up for grabs, if everyone's job is on the line, with the trade deadline roaming around, is Patrick Roy's philosophy finally taking a toll on the players? Gary, this team's been great 63% of the time all season long. It was better than last year, better than Lane Lambert's and one and all, but Is this a concern for you through the month of February, heading up to trade deadline, and we really don't have an identity for this team?
Yeah.
And especially after what you saw last night. Like,
yeah.
how do you not get up for the Rangers?
Number one, how do you get up for the Rangers? And you know that coming out of the break, that you got that log jam. You know, you've got 7 teams in there. You know, teams that, in some cases, some teams that are completely shocking the heck out of you. The Ottawas and Columbuses are part of that equation, which they normally aren't a part of.
Right.
So you see that in front of you. And I don't care if you're an athlete or not, you know, whatever your game is, but if you know, especially your rival, it just, again, I think I use the body language a lot, you know, and again, you know, the Islander bench is far away from me, you know, because I'm behind the net that we score twice. So the bench is on the other side.
Right.
And, you know, after the 4th goal, I'm looking in the locker room and on the bench, and half the heads are down.
Right.
I mean, it was conceded 3 minutes in the second period. I mean, we've seen games this year where they've come back and, you know, completely did a 180 and turned their game around. But, you know, and that would have been the opportunity. You know, at 2-1, you got a fresh sheet of ice. Get out there, do something, make something happen. And I will say, in honesty, that up until about maybe 5 or 6 minutes left in the second period, they really didn't play as bad of a game as you thought it is, despite looking at the score. They were winning battles. There was great passing in some cases. Things didn't look bad. They just, unfortunately, the scoreboard didn't help. But when you got to 4-1 and then you hit 5, it just, you know, the shoulders were all down. The heads were down. I mean, you know, we all know when Patrick came in here, he was a screaming madman, and we all heard him in the seats.
Right.
Well, I don't hear him now. I really don't. You know, you used to hear that whistle when he was, you know, needed something, wanted something or whatever. You'd hear the whistle up in section 316, you know, 200 feet away and 30, 40 feet up.
Right.
So I don't know. It's, as a fan, it's hard to swallow. And I'm sure many of the people in the chat room are thinking the same things, you know, but, you know, I always try to look at things in a positive light, but right now there's no definition at all.
Right.
And
let's flip that for a moment.
Okay.
We know we've been talking about Patrick here. We saw today Patrick brought everyone into center ice after a few line rushes, and he drills them, right? Why does that need to be done at game 57? Why? You're in a hunt for the playoffs, whether fans like it or not. You just got off a beautiful run, and you're letting it all slip away.
You remember
why does Patrick Waugh? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you remember the movie Bull Durham?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, I was like in the middle of the movie, or whatever. They were on a losing streak or something like that, and Kevin Costner kind of told the manager to kind of get on them or whatever, and he called them lollygaggers. You lollygag at the plate. You lollygag on the field. You lollygag everywhere. That's what I think the message almost is.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're down 5-1. And again, I didn't see the third period because I was driving home, but I was listening to Kigger and Greg Picker, and they were talking more about other things.
Right.
And that's the sign of a team that, and again, I'm not calling it giving up. It's one game.
Right.
But
showing up
you
would be better.
still, with your rival, you still
Right.
got to put an effort out there all the time.
Right.
And, for Patrick to have to do that to a professional team at this point,
no.
If they were at 40 points and 31st in the league, maybe.
Right.
Maybe you do it.
Right.
Get their acting gear. But a team at this level that is fighting for a spot and is like that, that's a bad sign.
Right.
And Islander Nation has been super ultra critical on management at the trade deadline over the last 4 years. You wonder what's going on in the minds now.
Right.
And if Lou was in a perch somewhere at Northwell Health Ice Center today and saw that, if a certain general managers in other sports, if they saw that, 3 of those guys would be on a plane right now waiting to go to their next destination.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I think needs to be done. I think it's gone far enough.
Okay.
And for me to say that, and again, she'll attest, for me to say that, that's
right.
That's hard. It's hard for me to say that, but it's got to get done.
Okay. I'm going to touch on this one real quick because Craig does bring up a decent point here, but I'm going to expand this on not just the Islanders. Craig, this is now done throughout the league. Case in point, look at the Rangers, look at the Bruins. How are they not in the playoffs right now with the teams constructed? The amount of talent that there is that's there, they should be bare minimum 7th or 8th, and they're not. There's a lot of teams with a lot of contracts and everything else. It's now becoming a players' league, and we all know the shelf life of a coach is 2 or 3 years. That's it. So it's not just the Islanders who have to go through this. There are a bunch of other teams who are now, they have to go through this because it is now a players' league. I like this one from Deirdre. I think it's the players. They just stop committing to each other, have some gotten very complacent, very true. You shouldn't have an incentive playing the Ranger. You shouldn't have an incentive playing the Rangers, and it should just be there. Exactly. Especially for the players who have been here for so long. With the moves that they have made, how much have they really improved? I've been looking at this, Angie, from the injury perspective. When the Islanders were injured back in 2021-22, the first year at UBS Arena, we had no one in Bridgeport to save us. When the Islanders went down with COVID, we all put Bridgeport and New York together as Islanders, and that was Barry Trotz as the coach. And the Islanders went 0-8-2 from games 10 to 20. That was the sign of an expansion team right off the bat.
Yep.
This year, it's a little bit better. I want to say higher lows. Granted, picking up some of those players off the waiver wire certainly helps. Trading for Paranovich has helped. But the kids in Bridgeport did a better job than they did 3 years ago. But it is still a work in progress. But when you lose Matt Barzal and Anthony Duclair, and we all know the story, there's no superstars yet in Bridgeport, that's where things are going to get a little scary. But I think this team is still better than that 21-22 team. We have the rest of the season to finish out. And again, we have to see who's traded, who's not traded, and whatnot. But I still think they're better than that other 21-22 team, that first year at UBS Arena. Yeah. I know. See, I know that he wants him to be more aggressive, and we have talked about Gary, Joe, myself, you guys in the chat. I don't like that defensive structure. I have never liked that Western Hockey League type defensive structure that the Islanders do. It looks like junior hockey. I don't see a lot of block shots from them like you should. Okay, if you're gonna screen Sorokin, block the shot. If your stick is close to the puck, put the stick out. If you don't have a chance, move. Perunovich had, I think, 2 goals last night, Gary? Did they deflect 2 of them off of him?
Yeah, there was 2.
Come on. I think Casey had a goal, I think, or one of them. Okay, but they were all close. Granted, yes, Sorokin can be a little more aggressive. That's fine. And if he can, maybe you get goalie interference with some of the players in his crease or whatnot. But look, get out of the goalie's way if you're not going to make a proper block. Sorokin not working hard enough in the crease. He's going to be 30 soon. Working hard enough to clear guys out of the way that he shouldn't have to clear. That's my point. That's what I've been seeing a lot of. There's just way too much traffic for Sorokin, and I'm not trying to defend him. I know what Waugh wants him to do. He wants him to go further out above the crease a little bit and make those bigger saves. He wants him to be the intimidating, imposing, I'm gonna save this no matter how you shoot it at me. He's trying to look for that kind of confidence. And I get that. I understand what Waugh's trying to do there. But at the same time, this Western Hockey League defense has got to stop. Look, I don't know what to tell you guys. Those are deflections. The one Rempe had.
Of the 5 goals, maybe, definitely 1, maybe 2.
Sure.
You'd want back.
Sure.
But deflections are something you can't control.
You know, if the players got out of the way and the Rangers' shots were not deflected, they're going wide. Sorokin doesn't even need to make the save. Granted, we're talking one game, but we have all talked about this defense now for God knows how long. It's too much of like a neutral zone or a 2-3 zone in basketball. I can't stand it. It's just too easy. You know what, Cutler? I'm going to do this. Mayfield, maybe Pulock, and anybody else that you guys can think of probably need to go see Adam Oates over the summer for a true conditioning stint and work on their games. They need to evolve as older players, and they need to pull an Anders Lee. They need to learn how to adapt to this new NHL, and they haven't yet. Going to someone like Adam Oates may actually help with that if they stay on the team.
You know, and one thing I'll just say, in effect, to add to this, you know, you took You took Mayfield out to bring in Boquist, and the explanation was a little more speed on the defense. And you know what? There were a few instances where Boquist looked really good. I
Yes.
mean, I'm not knocking him at all. But when you have a team like this, and you have a Ranger team that is a quick skating team, what beats speed? What beats speed? Strength.
What is it?
You got the power. If you can
Right.
get them, you can get the speed guys and knock them down, or keep them to the sides and keep them away from things.
Power.
You know,
Right.
I really was shocked when Mayfield was. Again, I'm not a big Mayfield fan, so
Right.
don't come say, Gary, you suck. That's
Right.
not the point I'm trying to make. But this would be a game, and I'm not even thinking about Rempe either. But it would be a game where physicality would have been a little more better to attack on the Rangers.
Right.
You know, it all stems back, unfortunately, to the old EMC line. You set the tone.
Right.
And this team has the inability to do just that. And I'm not saying, you got to have Cal back and Matty back or whatever, but any one of those guys, the McLeans, the Caseys, the Pageaus. I mean, sometimes Pageau plays like he's 6'9", he's only 5'10".
Yes. Yes.
You need that. And we all know the first 2 minutes and the last 2 minutes are the tone setters for the whole entire game. And if you don't come out the first 2 minutes and make a presence, I don't know. It just doesn't seem, like they didn't do it in the Dallas game either, but they brought it back. But
it's always
especially a game like the Rangers, the Devils, the Flyers, the instant in division games, you've got to set tones right away.
Right.
Because if you don't, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to bring this up. I know a lot of you are trying to tell me Hogberg played much better with the same defense. Okay. The Islanders offense only scored 1.63 goals a game with Hogberg in net. This is a team sport. The team overall has been inconsistent and basically stunk with any goaltender this season. Okay, so despite the fact that Hogberg has a 1.45 goals against average, the Islanders have basically only scored 1.6. And Hogberg's injured.
Mm-hmm.
Hogberg's not doing anything for the Islanders right now. Hall and Oates. Thank God. Here we go. It doesn't do you any good if the Islanders don't score. What good is it going to do? All right, so moving
you can have a face percentage of 945, but if you're shooting at 3%, guess what, fans? You ain't winning.
Well done. All right, Cutler, that's it. No more song titles for you. That's fine.
Is he out of touch?
I can't go for that. You're messing with the DJ. Just knock this crap off, okay?
Yeah, right.
Anyway. Moving forward now, the definition of success. We have the trade deadline coming up. If Lou doesn't do anything, for me, that's like a buy because I think they're waiting on Noah Dobson to possibly turn this around. If they sell, and we have gone through this before, it better be for some top kids or any kind of draft picks in 2026. But I think if the Islanders are really going to fix what needs to be fixed, it's not going to be done until the offseason anyway. The identity needs to be here. Who is going to be the face of the Islanders, right? Who is going to be here? And forget about the management part. Okay? Forget about the management part. It doesn't matter to me if Lou is here for one more year. It doesn't matter to me if Lou is not here anymore. The players at this point are going to be the faces of this team. The players who are here are now going through 3 coaches in 4 years, 5 years. It's a little embarrassing. The players need to define what the Islanders are going to be. No, I already did this. Stop it, Cutler. Already did that. Do they extend D'Angelo? I would still play D'Angelo for the rest of the season, see how he plays out, see if he still wants to play here. Maybe. We're a little overcrowded now. I agree with that, Robin. If they don't play well enough to make it to the postseason, I would love to see the Islanders get a top 12 pick. Top 12 pick in this year's draft. Okay, I will definitely be excited about that. Water cooler talk, guys. Questions, comments, concerns. Nelson needs to go. Maybe even Dobson, since he has value. Deal them for young talent. Need to retool and then need to figure out the goaltending situation. All right, Gary. And for you guys in the chat room as well. Definition of success, obviously, for you guys now at hockey, it's a hockey thing, no longer a money thing. It is the Stanley Cup. How long are you guys willing to wait? If you trade Brock, if you trade Dobson, which I still think will be a mistake, if you do like this complete retool that a lot of people want, how long are you willing to wait before the Islanders get back into the playoffs?
I think the litmus test is to really see what happens, post deadline, before I really give an answer, because that's going to tell me, that's going to give me the answer. I mean, we can all sit here and be armchair GMs until our, until we.
Well, no, I'm asking that question as a season ticket holder now, and a lot of other season ticket holders are asking for change. They're asking to get younger. They're tired of the blah. They're tired of making the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Go figure. Don't know why, but they're tired of making the playoffs every year, and they want to sit out 3 years, hoping that they get a number 1 overall draft pick, hoping that everything's going to work out like it has in Edmonton. Okay. Hoping that it's worked out in Dallas. Not yet. Hoping that it's working out in Anaheim. Praying it works in Chicago. How many years are season ticket holders willing to wait?
Yeah, well, that's it. You got an apathy out there right now. You got a tremendous amount of apathy. And, when you're, it always seems to happen when your team is not performing and you get that, that 10%, well, it's actually about 14% increase in prices of tickets.
And that's the other reason
that's when you get the more apathy. If truthfully, if I got my bill last week and it said we're not raising your prices, I think there'd be more. I won't say a lot more, but you'd have a lot, people considering it. But you're coming off a lousy year, not a lot of things to be happy about, and the owners are saying, well, guess what? 15% more of your money is coming to us.
Right.
That's why a lot of people are just saying bye. And, there's not really a line of people waiting. If you want tickets, you can get good ones right now.
Right.
So, how long do you want to wait? That's a tough question.
Yeah.
But teams can be rebuilt quickly.
Yes, they can.
They can be built very quickly. But management has not, in my honest opinion, taken the baton and run with it.
Right.
Status quo has been their thing. And right now, status quo is not working.
Okay.
I won't be critical of anybody, but it just doesn't feel comfortable.
Gotcha.
It's like a nice, comfortable blanket, but it's got a big hole in it.
Right. Am I done? Are you done with Waugh? Personally, I am. I'm leaning towards yes, Cutler. I'm leaning towards yes. We said this before on the show. Coaches' shelf life now is like 2, 3 years, 4 years, unless you do something big. Why is a lame duck coach? Will he sign an extension? I don't know if he wants to stick around for all of this. A lot of work.
The only thing that I would put as a positive on this, and we all know from his career, meeting with the media, the way his reactions, the way he does things, he doesn't BS. He shoots it straight from the hip. And when he comes out in these interviews and says how much he really loves these guys, a lot of coaches and managers can say that, and you're like, yeah, right. He's just talking. You hear it in his voice. I think that's genuine. That's the one thing that I think would want to keep him here is the relationship. And again, it all comes back down to the locker room too. There may be factions, there may be problems. If there is, again, you and I don't know. We're not there. Right. We don't know. But you hear when Andrew or Ethan Sears asks him a question about a player, and you hear how he glows over him, even if it's not a great game. He's still glowing about, for example, how Simon Holmstrom did or did a certain thing. You can tell it's not a BS statement, that it's really genuine and honest. And that's the one thing that, when I hear it on the drive home, you say, wow, he still really likes this team. He cares, and I'm sure he does. But the thing that bothers me is that he may care, but sometimes you got to say the right thing to light the proverbial fire under the rear ends. So.
Oh, hold on here. Who is untouchable during a retool? Nobody.
Nope.
Nobody. Let's just put that out there right now. Nobody is untouchable. Guys, look, you have Columbus. Nothing against Columbus. I love Columbus this year. I love what they've been doing, so on and so forth. Detroit is in the playoffs on a 93-point pace. Columbus is there at 90.
Ottawa.
Ottawa is up there.
But I like their story too.
Manic depressive here, Ottawa. I don't know what you're going to get out of them. Nobody knows. But the Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers, especially the New York Rangers, are not in the playoffs right now. The Islanders are literally shooting themselves in the foot by at least not making this close. Everyone is to blame, including players. You can't make the playoffs on 90 points. Everyone is untouchable. I'm sorry, everyone is not untouchable. Everyone goes. Everyone should Everyone has that possibility of leaving. Let me make that clear. They all failed. So if Lou has to take, if Patrick Waugh is going to get blamed for this as well, this is definitely on the players.
Yep.
Absolutely, Jeff. Absolutely. And he's been reshaping the defense on the fly. It's not that Lou hasn't been proactive. He's trying everything he can to get this team going. But again, a lot of people are getting tired of
Meh doesn't get you playoffs.
Right. March 7th, I believe.
Yeah, March 7th.
March 7th. Thank you, Robin. Who let him in here?
You always got to have one on the crowd.
There's always one. We get a couple of them.
Yeah.
I think we need a culture shakeup similar to what happened after the last 2 snow wait years. Well, that's what Gary was saying before, David. You know, that EMC square line was it. That was the identity. That's what they found. You got to go back to square one. And this goes back to my original question again, guys. And again, this is moving forward. Where is Matthew Barzal in all of this? Is he going to be a number 1 center next season? Is he going to be playing center at all? What do the Islanders want to do with Matthew Barzal?
And as Paul said, I don't think it's going to happen, but no one is immune.
No.
In a retail, no one is immune. Not even Matthew Barzal.
Right. No, I don't think that's a rebuild. You can get players for players right now. If you go players for draft picks, we're all in trouble. Forget that. Coaches, players, fans, we're all in trouble. But I see your point, Robin. You know, it really does depend on the return, which is why I don't want to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm more cautious about the Islanders selling, because if they do sell and nothing really pans out, how far down are the Islanders gonna go? Damn. Damn Hall and Oates. Here we go. These are worse than dad jokes right now. No. Stupid. Give me this. Yes, he has blossomed into a nice third liner. I'm being quite serious with it. I like the fact that he's playing the way he's playing right now. He's only on goal, pace for 20 goals. Does he have more? He's young enough right now where you can test that. There's nothing wrong with testing him to see how he handles the top 2 lines.
And if anybody can, bring their notebooks back to, season 4 of Isles Talk, we were talking a lot about, will Simon make that step? And we were concerned if he was going to ever do it.
Right.
And I give kudos to him. Maybe he found the Swedish version of Adam Oates, and got the right work ethic in to turn him into the player he's been. And remember, he's been here long enough, but he's the youngest of that draft year.
Yes.
He was the last one to make that draft. So that's why I say you got an extra year out of it, and he's blossomed. I think, and remember, he played last night. He played on the second line. He was playing with Brock and Palmieri, so he's got enough the coach has enough confidence in to move him up and give him the experience. And he was one. There were times where he was one of the guys I was liking the effort in the back checking. And he did a lot of things that you know, if you said this to me last year, even with the shorthanded goals he had, I don't think he was capable of doing, and he's done it this year. So that is a bright spot. Not that you're going to build a team around him, but he's a good fit wherever you put him right now, and that's great news.
You guys are so close yet so far away. Retool is needed. The only players at this point I would not move, if any, Horvat, Holmstrom, and Romanov. All right. What are you retooling? Like, do you guys honestly understand what you're trying to do here? Keeping 3 players, but you want to retool. That's not a retool.
No.
A retool in no. That's Journey. Stop it. Absolutely not. A retool, folks, is literally changing 1, 2, maybe 3 players. Grabbing a little younger. Okay, so you would be looking at trading Brock, trading Palmieri, and have fun with it, trading Peugeot. What's that?
Yeah, say Peugeot.
Yeah. For a couple of younger guys. That's a retool.
A rebuild.
Yes. Go ahead.
Is the full package.
Yes. Right. Okay. You can do what Boston did, trading away those players, grabbing those draft picks, with only a couple of them really panning out for you. Okay, but Boston does their thing, which is signing free agents or their college free agents and bringing them to Providence and letting them develop and then bringing them up. Or Boston signs those AHL players, develops them in Providence, and brings them up when they need it. That's what the Islanders have been doing. Kyle McLean, Grant Hutton, Gatcomb right now. They're doing all the college free agents. They're now doing what Boston is doing. It's just taking a little bit longer because of what has happened. The power play has been a major disappointment for the last 3 years. Amen to that. Amen to that. That deserves another drink somewhere, but not on this show. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Special teams overall. Okay, that's different. Listening to offers on all others, that's a little different. But, retool, you're only talking 2, 3 players. Yeah, I love Gatcomb's game. Oh, not you. There we go.
Well, at least Mike woke up and saw the game.
Yeah.
Saw the show tonight.
Flames got rid of 10 players in a rebuild. Right.
They did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And however, Randy's been trying to get rid of every Flames player since like January. I think if his own kids were on the Flames, he'd trade them too at this point. So, seriously, you two need to stop with all of this. Oh, damn it. I forgot this one.
Yeah.
Damn it. Oh, how did I forget? Say it isn't so. Do we have a Sarah on here? Come on, Sarah, smile. Where's Sarah? Save my butt. Will you? Boo. Yeah, shut up. No. Any other questions, comments, concerns, guys? Listen, I know you want to retool. I know you want to rebuild. You want a culture change. And they're all fair arguments. They really are.
No, yeah, exactly. We're not really, if we disagree, we respectfully disagree. Yes, there's something has to be done. Is the bottom line.
No doubt.
We're not sure what it is, but they're at that situation.
Right. And yeah, I know they're just damn. But here's the thing. Here's the thing right now, folks. Basically, starting tonight, and this is something that I've learned from Lyle, in some cases, Randy, and talking to other other reporters who do the rumor mill, especially right now until next Friday. For me, a lot of it is going to be clickbait. A lot of it's going to be a lot of entertaining. Damn it. Okay. Be very careful what you're listening to, who you're listening to, so on and so forth. The one thing that I have always learned now over the years is that I will believe it when I see it. Noah Dobson is probably going to get traded to 10 teams minimum by Friday. And he may still be on the Islanders. Brock Nelson could be traded to Winnipeg. He could be traded to Minnesota. He could be traded back to Winnipeg and end up in Dallas. Kyle Palmieri could end up in Boston, yet he was headed for New Jersey. Be very, very careful with what you hear or what you see over the next week and a half. Maybe we will get some kind of an answer, or at least an idea or a direction of where the Islanders want to go. If they want to go anywhere. Because like I said, seventh and eighth place right now, they're still up for grabs. And Boston and the Rangers aren't doing anything at the moment. But I will say this. I think if the Islanders lose to Boston tomorrow, I think it's on all hands on deck. Gary, do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah.
If you lose to Boston tomorrow and you lose badly at home, all hands on deck. Why not?
No, it's not home tomorrow. It's in Boston.
Oh, is that at home? It's in Boston?
It's in Boston.
Okay, that's fine. We are not going to Journey. Stop it. We're going to go our separate ways here, Cutler. We're going our separate ways here because we are just about done with this show. We are not doing any more of this dad jokes with songs. Don't even think about bringing in Chicago. It's not happening. No, there's never getting our shit together. Not on this show. Gary, that's it. Where can they find you on social media? We're getting out of here. This is getting out of here. No, this is stop.
At Alsmet 63. But just keep the faith, guys. You know, I know it's not fun. You know, we're not happy, but just remember also baseball's coming soon too.
Oh, thank God. Because stop. Oh. I can't take this. Yeah. Stop. Yeah, no. Oh my God. Stop with the changes. All right, we're ending this. Losing all control. Stop. Yes, it's time to go. Good call on that one. Boys and girls, thank you for coming on. We'll be on sometime next week. I don't know. Don't stop believing. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. I don't care what you want to do. Just we're done. Folks, good luck with the trade deadline. Yeah, anywhere you want it. See ya. Bye. Done.